Let them take me as far as they want to go. And it's time for me to say, they won't break me, I'm braver than I know. I was made for this. Oh, such a time as this. Oh, I was made for this.
All right. Well, welcome. We are back with our May series. We are talking all month about mental health awareness, and we've covered some really amazing, very heavy, just very, very important topics so far. And today we're switching gears a little bit.
Yay.
I am so excited. We have Jacqueline Scherer here, and she is going to be, we're going to be playing.
Yes.
We are going to be playing the entire time, and we're going to be learning about the benefits of play. And I love to play, so this is going to be
Me
really
too.
fun. And I know Heidi does.
I sure
So,
do.
yeah, this is going to be great. So
I'm so
thank you
excited
so
you're
much
here.
for joining us, Jacqueline. We're really excited that you're
We
here.
are.
Having me.
Hey.
So I'm Jacqueline. I'm the founder and executive director of the PLAYGROUNDgr, and we are a nonprofit that builds the bridges of play through a mental health lens into communities that might not have access to play-based therapies and workshops, healing and understanding. So we focus on the brain and
Yes.
how play heals the brain. We focus on trauma, on mental health diagnoses, and we are just out in the community teaching
that.
teachers and counselors and therapists and foster care workers and families and kids
Wonderful.
how to heal through play.
So how did you get involved in all of this? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure, yeah. Well, I am a licensed clinical social worker. So I've been working alongside families and youth for a very, very, very long time. Personally, I'm a foster parent. I'm an adoptive parent. I'm a bio parent.
Thank you
and-
for that. It's so needed. And I so appreciate that you have jumped in there and done that.
Yes.
Kudos to you.
It's a true blessing. So we have been foster parents for, I don't know, like 11, 12
Wow.
years.
Love it.
And I really started using play through a mental health lens in my home.
Okay.
Right? I, as a clinician, have always loved working alongside children and families. I've spent a lot of time clinically working with youth who are street dependent or searching for stability, foster youth, and families who just were missing some of the key services they need to be able
Right.
to support like a healthy mental health life.
Yes.
And when we moved to the Michigan area, I just saw a lot of gaps in capacity and accessibility for groups of people in the community who didn't have access to the kind of therapy and mental health supports that I believe
Right.
Yes.
are the most essential, which is play through a mental health lens.
I love it.
And so at the PLAYGROUNDgr, we just follow the science, the research. Our tool is the brain. And we just really look at the components of your brain and what they need to heal and the cues they give you of like where you're at. And the truth is, around the world, we use play as a mental health modality. And in the United States, we're still catching up. So we're here to change
How
that.
can we
There's
be
a lot of areas we're
leaders?
still catching up in.
We're always catching up over here. What's with that? What's with that? Let's get on board. And I'm loving. Let's bring play back.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, you get to be a part of the change.
Yay,
today, right?
I love it.
We're bringing
all
it
about
in.
it.
I think what's really important when we're looking at the research of play through a mental health lens is like, what are other cultures doing that's working so beautifully? And we have some really great examples. For example, in Scandinavia, in their
Okay.
school settings, they do 20 minutes of learning, 30 minutes of recess. 20 minutes
Yes.
of learning, 30
Oh,
minutes
I
of recess.
love that.
I have heard it doesn't matter how I came across this person, but it was somebody that lived in Scandinavia. And we just were communicating back and forth just online. And I found it interesting because I'm learning more about a part of the world I'd love to visit, but have
Right.
never been. But they were talking about their educational systems and their different approaches to things. And I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. And like the importance that they put on family and what's needed to be healthy and strong in family, but what do kids need to be healthy and successful in the school settings, and using what comes naturally or what kids should be doing as a tool for wellness is just, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful thing. But I was going to actually ask what countries
Yeah.
do have great models, but
There's some incredible countries. There's a lot of like small communities in Africa practice play and attachment-based play strategies that are just really successful for creating community and
Love it.
inclusion and wellness. And the thing about the research we find around the world about play is these cultures have like better sleep hygiene.
Right.
They have
Makes
lower
sense.
suicide rates. They have higher learning and education capacities. They have lower mental health diagnoses. There are some countries in Northern Europe that prior to a mental health diagnosis or medication
Right.
of any age, they write you a prescription for play. Some of them, nature play.
People
Nature
getting it
play.
It
Oh,
gives
I
me chills.
love that so much. Yes.
And it's working. You know, these
course,
areas are finding that there is a benefit, right?
Right.
And what the research is really guiding us into is the 3 components that we believe at the Playgroundgr, and I believe like in my soul of emotional health
Yes.
is sleep, nutrition,
Yes.
and play.
We
love
just
it.
talked
See,
about that last
there's
week,
a
didn't we?
reason I always walk out my back door and take a hike in the state forest that butts up to my backyard. There's a
Right.
reason I get out there in the woods with my dog, and I am joyful by the time I get back.
I think our bodies just
explored
crave
and-
it. I think they need it. You
Yes.
know, there's a different feeling that you have when you come back from, you know, an outside
Right.
experience, whether you're camping or
Yes.
hiking or just
Yeah,
out in your
like
garden or
something got
anything like that.
left out there that you didn't need to carry with you anymore.
Yes. Yes.
But something that you had said just really interested me. You used the word community and talking about
Yeah.
some of these other countries that get it right. And I think we are losing in this country that sense of community. It's not what it used to be. Neighbors don't even know each other anymore. Kids aren't all outside playing together outside like they
Right.
used to. All the grown-ups aren't looking out for the kids in that group like they used to. And it's become such a me society. Everybody's stuck right here. You're not even here. It's like losing that sense of community. Is that contributing
It's very
to some
isolating.
of the
You know, what's
Problems,
really
or-
special about play is it brings people together.
Right.
It's inclusive,
Yes.
right? Like you don't have to have a lot in common. In
Right.
fact, a lot of forms of play and strategies of play, you don't even need language. So you can bring people together who don't speak the same language and you can still connect in a
Yes.
real way.
I
you
love
know,
it.
play creates attachment. Play, it decreases feelings of stress. It increases capacity to sleep. It decreases depression, anxiety. It increases overall concentration and focus. When you bring your best self forward because you're sleeping well, you're eating well, you're playing, you can give more to your community.
Right.
You know, you can give more to
Yes.
yourself. We this big study just came out during COVID about play, and they are considering the majority of the youth in our country to be play deprived.
I believe that.
I would
Without
definitely
a
agree
doubt.
with that.
And the truth is, like, play allows access for so many things that words just don't tap into. And when we look at the brain, we're looking at like different kinds of play, right? So like we start with the brainstem, which is really like heartbeat, breath, survival, right? And so we're gonna learn some play-based strategies that you can use in your brainstem.
Wonderful.
So I have like a youth in my home who's experienced a lot of life that required a lot of choices to stay safe that someone her age may not have had to. And so we use bubbles, a form of brainstem play, to restart those pathways and to remember, breathe. And there was some really cool research done about bubbles that I'll share with you when we kind of move on to that tool. But it's truly, you know, she's having an emotional burst. She just like can't regulate. And I start blowing bubbles and you watch her whole face shift. And then she can get to a place that she is so in control, she can pick up this bubble and she can blow it herself.
I love
can
that.
blow
She just
the
needed
bubble.
to get
Yes.
back to that very basic self.
Yep.
and
I'm safe, I can regulate. And so when we're thinking about how play impacts us, it's really about like our brain engaging with our body, helping us create rhythm. You know, like basic rhythm is one of the most important parts of play. And think about it, like babies and the heart rate.
Yes.
Yep.
Anytime we are using breath and a heartbeat, survival,
Yes.
we need them to live in play, we are engaging the brainstem. That is why drum work is
interesting.
so impactful.
I love that.
Oh, speaking of that, the drummer at our church is going to give me lessons. I'm going to learn how to
Oh, you're going
play.
to rock on
And
the drums.
he's got an extra drum set. So
I love that.
Vitamins for the brain.
I can
Right
totally see you just
Yes.
smashing
It's
those
gonna be
drums.
so good for you. It's going to be, and the thing about drum, that's really cool. I have a friend that has devoted his entire career to drum-based work, and he works a lot with kids who don't have a voice, whether it be selective mutism or just like they don't have the capacity yet or working towards the capacity to use a verbal expression. And he helps these youth, these kids, these teens, these adults find their voice.
That's
and
amazing.
he teaches them how to express what they have in their heart and what they need to say in a different way.
I love all of this so much.
It's so
Me too.
beautiful to watch that unfold. We did grief work together. And so for these kids to be able to come together, pardon microphone, for these kids to be able to come together in a circle to see each other and to share on the drums, these big old drums just pounding out their story, right? And sometimes it would be like, and sometimes it would be like, and they would just be going for it.
I love that.
And
yes.
everyone would walk away being like, I have said nothing, and I have said everything
Yes.
I need to say.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why drumline was so good for all my kids. But
It's that heartbeat, right?
what? It's remarkable. And so many things. My brain is like, you're welcome to ADD me, but I'm like, all these things that you're saying that I hadn't stopped to just sit and think about. But at your very basic, if you're not founded and centered and in control of that part and you're in nonstop fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight, you physically can't sit there and do those things because you're so, at least that's how I feel when I'm living in that constant state of hyper alert or what's coming next. And the idea of sitting there and just breathing and focusing and like I could see where like blowing bubbles wouldn't initially in those moments and periods of time be like, I'm just going to go grab that and do it because my brain isn't even thinking about that type of stuff. But to center and bring it back to, I need a gallon of bubbles and some sand and feathers. That would be so good.
Meeting your brain where your brain is at, right?
Right.
And that's what we do clinically is we look at like, where is your brain at and how can we support you in that moment to help you with the healing so you can kind of work your way up. Because we start with the brainstem and we do like blowing up a balloon, drumming, basic rhythm, like all of those old school clapping games.
Yes.
Even like a high five. If we do that like 4 times, we are going to create connections and a rhythm all on our own.
We did that so good. I didn't even look at her elbow or anything. We did it.
Ready? What if we all do it? So sometimes when I do groups with kids who struggle with regulation, we just sit in a group and do this until we get it straight.
And then look
sometimes
at
it
you're
takes
smiling
forever.
and have
Do you feel connection?
Yes, this is amazing.
Isn't this simple? It's like rhythm.
Heidi's got 2 different
It's
rhythms. I can't even.
It's rhythm.
I have no rhythm. Just letting you know, I was born
I'm going
without.
from playing the oboe to playing the drum, so I'm going to learn a whole different sort of rhythm.
So
So
good for
I
you.
can't. I'm so excited. Are you kidding? And he's all this tatted up, plays in a rock band, likes the hard rock stuff, but he's our praise band drummer who's amazing. He's flipping his sticks around and they go sailing and
I love
he's
it.
pretty impressive. So
I love it.
He's taking his shine. He's kind of fond of me
Total
and
play.
I
Total
get to play on drums. I love it.
Total play. And then we go up to our midbrain. That is like big motor movement. And Bruce Perry is like a really good person to read his work, read his research. He's really created the foundation of understanding.
Bruce Perry?
Bruce Perry.
Okay.
His most recent book is What Happened to You, and he co-wrote it with Oprah.
Oh, wow.
I have just
It's
heard
incredible.
about this book and how
Must
amazing
read
it
or
is.
listen. It's on audio.
Okay.
Must. And basically what he's devoted his whole career to was not an intention of play. It was an intention of understanding of the brain
Right.
and trauma. And how does trauma impact the brain? And so through his work and collaborators, we have learned that your brain lights up based on how healthy and well it is, right? And so there are brain scans with children who have not experienced trauma and abuse and children who have. And children who've experienced domestic violence. There's a study with a child from an orphanage. There's more black, there's more purple. And those are spaces that are kind of shutting down.
Okay.
And what his research has taught us is stability, security, and love are what turn those back on. So the brain is one of the coolest parts
It's
of our
remarkable.
body. We can turn it back on, we can relight it, we can heal it. And through his research, again, he's not a play guy. But through his research, he has become a play guy.
That's
and
great.
what he has begun to share, and
love
I've heard him
this.
speak, he says play is the closest form to healing when a child is struggling that exists. And so he comes to all these play therapy things now and is beloved by us because he's created the research and the statistics we need to say to the world,
Right.
this is science. This is helping. This is healing. Play heals.
I love that.
I wonder if that's why Robert was so good for me at the time he came into my life. Because he is just pure joy and all play. And my brain was probably all black and purple in most areas of it.
I agree. I think that's what drew you to him too.
Yeah.
I think it was very intriguing. You
and
wanted
what
that
he
fun
dropped
and
into my life. It has just been joyful fun. I mean, we play all the time. I mean, all the freaking time. Everybody's like, what is with you two? And
they've been
we're just
married like just over a year and a half, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's fascinating to me. It's like, what was it?
It's
But
awakened things in you that you didn't
I
even
know.
know you
I
had,
had
but you've
no
had all
idea.
along. They were just
they were
dormant.
there. Yeah, they were just turning off because I didn't have any foundation or anything. I just survived life, and then he came through, and
Started turning on the light switches.
it is
Yep.
just remarkable.
But I love that you said that because I think
Yes.
that it's his playful spirit that really brought that out in you and
like
showed
he
you that you can be
costumed
funny and
runner
zany and
you know, silly costumes doing. He was doing the ship shopping, and now he's in a different job, but he still does these fun things, and we do just weird off the wall things
I love
just
that.
for fun.
Yep.
Like literally, there's times where like pick out the most dressy dress I have and the great heels, and he'll get all dressed up. We go and take $20 to Meijer to scour for clearance little bargains, and we are giggling and laughing, trying to come up with the best find. He gets 10, I get 10. We're going to see who finds the coolest thing. People are looking at us like, what are you doing? You're dressed to the nines, laughing like children with a basket full of little clearance out.
And they want to
stuff.
know, why are they having so much
I
fun?
know.
Like, what are they doing? Look at them just smiling and
I
laughing
know.
and not caring,
Yeah, I
what
can't
anybody
wait.
else thinks.
Yeah,
And
I can't
that's
wait
fantastic.
to tell them what good therapy it is. So
Yay.
because
It's
we're
proof.
both joyful.
Plays all ages, right?
Yes.
Because
Right.
if we took that into a preschool setting, it's the dress up corner, it's the kitchen
It
corner,
is.
it's the
Yeah.
store play.
Yes.
Like kids act out what you just explained all
Right.
the time.
I'm just
Yep.
happen to be a grown up, and that's what we do.
Play
we
is all
to
ages.
we go to parking lots in a restaurant. We'll dress up like we're going out for dinner. I bring plates, silverware, a glass to put our drink in. We order takeout. We go and sit in the car with it. And we've gone out to eat, but we're just there together. Nobody interrupts us. We have our music on. We're just having the time of our life, dressed up, sitting in the car in the parking lot. And we're like, we don't know why we come up with things like that, but we just, it started during COVID, and some things we're not giving it up.
I
So
love that.
this is just great. I'm just fascinated.
Nutrition for the brain.
Yes, feed
Yes.
that thing. Feed that thing.
I was thinking about what you said, though, that play is for all ages.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like big rough and tumble guys, like a lot of my husband's friends, big like biker dudes, right? And when my daughter was younger, she would just be like, come and play. And these big burly dudes are like, okay, and they'll do whatever it
Yes.
is. They'll do the, and it's so fun to watch
It
their
is.
inner child come out because it's still there. It's
Yes.
just not used all the time, but I love that because it doesn't matter who you are. You have a little kid that comes up and they're like, just take your little fingers and they're,
Yes.
come play with me. Okay, okay. Or the whole room is watching, a little kid playing. All these adults are sitting there and we're mesmerized. The entire room is
Yes.
sitting there watching these little kids play because that's our inner child just
Just
looking
like,
and
I
going,
wanna play.
oh, like I remember that and that's so fun. And so, yeah.
And it's our brain saying, I need that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
It's
I
your
agree.
brain
I agree.
calling you. My challenge to people is always 5 minutes of play a day.
I love
If you
that.
can do 5
Yep.
minutes of play a day, you're going to
Yes.
find the value in it. And then you'll do 10, and then you'll do 15. And
Yes.
the next thing you know, you're going to be going to Meijer in a gown with 10
Yep.
bucks, right?
Having the time of your life, leaving people
Yeah.
wondering. But everybody is smiling and laughing, watching us, trying to take a picture, asking what is going on.
Yep.
We probably had security follow us a couple
Yeah.
times because it
They're not
probably
doing the
looked a
normal
little
thing.
odd and- but it's just, it fascinates me, and my mind is already, it's like, okay, so how do we start a group for like women? Like it's just a
It's a
play
play.
date.
Yeah.
It's a play date for
Yeah.
women. You don't bring your children, don't bring anybody. This is for you. A
Yes.
play date for you.
I love that.
And we're not going to do a quilt. We're not
Please, no
crocheting.
quilts.
We
No
are
quilts.
going to play. Like,
Yep.
we're going to get outside the swing. Let's, jump rope. Let's sidewalk chalk. Let's.
I love
Something.
that.
Let me teach you some of these
Yes,
tools.
please.
And then maybe we could do it.
Yes.
I think
I love it.
women need a play group.
Let's have,
I
we
love
do
it.
workshops for all ages. There is value to it. There's
Yes.
value to playing. Why don't we spark our brains and get you thinking about how you want
love
to
it.
add
Yay.
this to a fun event.
I
Go
got
ahead
'em.
and put your fingers in the sand. And if
I've been
you feel
resisting.
safe, close your eyes. And we are going to take 1 minute to play in the sand with your eyes closed. And I want you to share, like, pretend this is the first time you've ever felt sand. And pretend the people around you have never felt sand. How do you describe what you're experiencing?
It's cold. I like the cold though. It's a
Yeah.
soothing cold. I can
The
imagine running my
texture of
toes
it
through
is
it.
just, I know. I love the way that it kind of molds, but it doesn't. And all the little different grains. And it feels completely different when you've let go of it, but it's still
It's soft.
just there.
It's soothing. I like to move it around.
It's like you can make these soft little piles, but yet it becomes such a stable structure when it's been compacted down. I love sand. Reminds me of the beach.
Yes, yes. And sand is one of my favorite tools to use in play-based work. And the reason is supports your brain. It creates safety. It actually opens your limbic in a way that allows you to process and share feelings and thoughts and ideas. It invites you to begin healing, and it invites you to express yourself. So today, we are going to use sand in a frisbee to create a sand tray, a type of therapy we use for expression, for healing, and for sharing. And the beautiful thing about sand tray work is you, while we're doing this, can say nothing at all and still experience all the benefits. But for the sake of all of those out there,
Yes.
let's do some sharing about this experience in a way that feels good for you. So we are going to start with a prompt.
Okay.
The prompt is create your world. And you are going to see on the table some feathers, some sticks, and a bunch of little guys. We have a dinosaur and an egg. We have a
Okay.
seal, a bear. Using these tools, create in your tray your world. And that can mean anything to you.
Okay.
I'm excited about this. Can we do
sand
this
everywhere.
like a lot?
You could do this every day.
I
It'd be
know.
so good for you.
It
It'd
would
be
be.
so healthy. It is so nurturing.
get to take these out of the
vitamins for your
plastic?
brain. Oh yes.
Okay,
Open them
good.
up. Definitely open
I'm like,
them
they're
up.
much more fun if I can open them and take them
Yes.
out of the plastic.
I,
Just look at it,
the
don't
one
touch.
room that you can never go into, and it's like, why do we have it? Why is my bedroom so small and we got a whole room we can't sit in? I don't understand that. But
We don't have any rooms in our house that are like that.
Oh,
Everything
no.
is very accessible and open. And I grew up with a room like that and I didn't like it.
my home is home.
I used to sneak in there all the time and be like, ooh, she's sitting on the couch. She's not supposed to be. All right, I found my world. Now we've got to design it.
All right. In a therapeutic setting, this could take 1 minute and this could take 2 hours.
It just, you don't know
You don't know.
because everybody's
Yep.
everybody's someplace.
Yep. And people often don't expect how impactful creating can be when using a sand tray. Sometimes you don't know where your brain's going to take you. I'm going to pull out my cheat sheet because I want to share with you. There's a pattern you're going to hear about play. Sand trays, common diagnoses that we use sand trays for in a therapeutic setting: depression, anxiety, cognitive delays, ADHD, and anything on the ASD spectrum.
Okay.
Feelings and symptoms. Like if someone comes to me and says like, hey, I'm feeling these things, I'm like, ooh, you are a great candidate for a sand tray. And sand tray work is something that we often do many, 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 many times. But feelings or symptoms, aggression, emotional regulation, social interaction needs and supports, self-worth, self-esteem, grief, worry, and anxiousness are all feelings and symptoms that a sanctuary can really help you unpack and heal.
This is good mindfulness. It's calming, but your mind is building this story that this is becoming, and I'm already loving it. This is so good.
So this reminds me of something I did with my family at Christmas time. So we made stockings, I don't even know, 10 years ago when my kids were all very little, and they had kind of outgrown them. And so I decided to make new ones this year my kids are 19, 18, and 14. And so I was like, we need to get a little bigger stockings.
Sure.
So we had gone to the store and just found the most random things. I mean, including like Minions stickers. Like, I don't know. My husband and I just went and grabbed the most random things. And we put them all out on the table. And then they had just these blank stockings, kind of the canvas color or whatever. And it was probably 2 hours of us just sitting as a family, giggling, laughing, and everybody kept like kind of going different directions with it. Nobody really had a clear understanding. My husband's cutting things apart and like re-engineering things to make his own. And it was fascinating because it reminds me of this kind of activity, of this play. And everybody was so excited to like watch what other people were doing, and their personalities came out completely on these. It was great. It was so great. We loved it. So are we supposed to be telling you what we're doing as we're going, or are you going to analyze this completely?
Oh, that's a myth. Therapists who analyze, that is a myth, and that is not where the good work is. Anytime someone else is telling us why we created something, they are giving us a tip that they are very curious and they are unsure themselves.
I love that.
I
think that's very true.
You need to be able to express yourself as you want. And when we're talking about the brain, if you are in your brainstem, you're probably just pointing at the stand. If you are in your midbrain, that is giant movement. That is the child at Target who is like flailing on the ground and screaming. That is the child who is throwing the table over. That is somebody who's like fleeing with big motor movement.
It's my oldest grandson.
Our
Just
midbrain
terrible
is
problems.
like big motor movements. But once we get into our limbic, that's where we start processing feelings, but not with our words. Our cortex is where we use most of our language, problem solving, empathy, and that's only 7% of our brain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So sometimes the most successful sand tray is one where no words are at all. Because if you aren't in your cortex, you don't have the capacity to process or share.
Right.
And so if we were working together and I was saying to you, for the sake of this, like it's important to use your language so people understand what's happening. Right. We're educating about the process of a sand tray. But if we were doing this clinically in a clinical space, in a therapeutic setting, I would literally be saying nothing.
Right.
And you would be guiding and doing, and that could be for 2 hours. I'm just looking at you. I'm smiling. When you look at me, I'm smiling. I'm encouraging.
So you engage without words often.
Totally. Yeah, we're following the lead, right? So if you're saying something to me in the world of play-based therapy, I'm more likely to repeat what you're saying than I am to give a lot of insight.
To feedback.
I want your brain to go where your brain needs to go.
Yes.
Right? And so if you said to me, like, look at my lion. Because you have a lion in there.
I do.
A yellow lion with a big green feather.
Yep.
Right? I might want to be like, ooh, that lion. Look at that big lion. That might be somebody in your life that has a big roar. No, I'm not going to say it.
Right.
I'm going to be like, you're going to say to me, look at my big lion. And I'm going to say, look at your big lion.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Because it's your
Look at
process,
my big lion.
right?
See it?
It's not mine. Look at that big lion.
I do see
I have a big lion.
Right? And so clinically, this works if we let the brain do the work. But if I tell you what to do, that's not about your brain anymore.
Now you're following somebody else's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not what I believe. That's not where I believe the good work happens.
And you won't find out where they're at if you're telling them, now do this, do this, do this.
Then it becomes a craft.
I have my whole family on here. I'm going to tell you about it.
Yes,
Yeah?
I want to hear
So-
yours.
So you're about to walk into your cortex.
I
Here
am.
we go.
I am. So
Yes.
this is my life. This is my entire world right here. It's very fancy. So I have over here a lion with a green feather because that is my husband and his color is green. And I chose a lion because he's the big and the strong and the protector. And he's also very cuddly, like a lion, I would imagine would be if it didn't eat me. You know, but I could see them being very cuddly, and they play, and it's super fun. And I think lions are cool. And then I have the giraffe, which is for my oldest. And I gave him a blue feather because even though he likes purple right now, he has liked blue for most of his life. So we're just going to go with blue. And I did a giraffe for him because it just spoke to me. That was the first one I saw, and I just put that down, and I thought, yeah, he's tall, and he has grace to him that I don't understand, because I'm not graceful.
Like, I love giraffe. Their heads, their expressive eyes, to me, they're beautiful.
They are. They're amazing.
Just so beautiful.
And I think they're a little bit mischievous too, and that would also match him. And then I have my unicorn, and that is for my daughter because she is my miracle baby, and so I see unicorns as magical creatures, and I see her as that as well. And she's also just a complete anomaly with life. Like she doesn't make sense, and she makes all the sense in the world all at the same time.
She wore a killer dress.
Yep.
Added a little something to it that made it look amazing.
And Converse.
With her Converse.
That were created individually. Like she individualized the entire Converse. It was amazing.
Amazing.
And I gave her the purple, like the darker purple, because I just feel like it was very bold. And then I have my really fun, I don't even know what this is because it has stripes and it has dots. So I wasn't sure what it was. And that's my other son. And because he has the most fun personality, I love his personality. He can be serious when he needs to, and he is an extremely good listener, and he loves to make people smile and laugh. That is one of his favorite things to do, and his favorite color is purple, but I didn't want them to have the same, so I moved it. And then I don't know why I chose this for me, the hedgehog. It was
They're
just
adorable.
so
That's
fun.
why.
And then when I pulled it apart, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's gonna be me. Like that's
so
it.
cute.
Yeah, and just something out there and wacky with my magenta color. And then I have our S right here for SEABERG because we always say like SEABERG is a very, like, we identify with that,
Yes.
SEABERGs do it this way, or like you're a SEABERG, you can do this, or things like that. And it's very, very strong with us. And then I drew this box down here and noticed that none of us are in the box.
Yes.
That's because all of us live life outside of the box.
Love it.
And we set our own way of life and agenda, but then we are completely surrounded by the heart that's on the outside of it, because it's a family full of love and we support each other. So yeah,
There is a heart right there, yeah.
there is. It got a little entangled with my box, but that's okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep, it is. So that's
love
my
it.
whole world. My family is pretty much my entire world.
And think about if we had just like sat down and I'd been like, tell me about your family.
Right.
I'm not sure I would have gotten all that.
I don't think I would have. I think I pulled stuff out I didn't even think about. So.
I know.
Tell us about your world.
Well, here is my world. This represents home and family. And I think, so I'll just explain what everything is. So these feathers here, these are my husband and I. These are our grown children. These 6 here, these are mine, 4 girls and 2 boys, and my husband's 2 sons. These are our 5 grandsons over here that we love to no end. These are my husband's 2 oldest boys that were killed in a car accident. I never got to meet them, and look forward to the day when I get to. I feel like I know them so much. Dakota and Austin, I cannot wait to meet you too. And boy, does your dad miss you. We've had a couple days talking about them, and it's been emotional stuff. So their feathers are not planted into the ground anymore because they're not on this world anymore. They are in their forever home. And then this is us inside of here. My home is a heart, and I wrote home in here because I think for the first time I have that. I feel like I have a home, and it's filled with just amazing, beautiful love. I chose a bear for Robert because he's just as larger than life, typically easygoing. But my first thought is teddy bears. It represents that. You hold on to it. It's safe. It's secure. It's what you go to. But watch out. If you hurt what is his, all bets are off. He will protect and make sure that I'm okay at all costs. Had to add my dogs because they're just good for me, and I love my crew of special need dogs, and because we like the special ones. I chose this one for me because I feel like this has been me over the past couple years. I've finally emerged into who I'm really supposed to be, and it's like I'm starting the life I'm really supposed to have been living.
Amen.
Finally. So I am coming out of that shell, and I literally need people to know, doesn't matter what I came from, I love my life. And that's my little world right there. So, and it felt really good to put that together.
A
So,
dinosaur
yeah.
coming
I
out
love
of its
that.
shell.
Yes. Yeah. Because there's times when I feel like far older beyond my years and that I wasn't born at like the right time. Like maybe I was born way too late or something. So there's times when I feel that, you know, the dichotomy of I feel so old, but everything is so brand new and I'm so excited about it. So that's why I chose that for me. So there's my family of teddy bear, a hatching dinosaur, and a pink dog.
There
So
they are.
I love it.
And you got to honor.
Dakota and Austin.
Yeah. And
Yes.
you can see where when we create sand trays as part of a grief journey to honor someone,
Yeah.
how people can kind of find their voice in sharing who those people were to them, what they meant to
Yeah.
them, how to honor them. Sometimes we don't have the words,
Right.
right?
How do you, how do you? And it's kind of like, I'm just realizing it's like, I just had to make sure that everybody's looking at them. It's like, you are not forgotten.
Right.
You are talked about and you are honored and you are loved. Your father has been shedding tears over you, just speaking of you. And it's like, they're as real to me as these children are. I wish I could have known them, but I will someday. So it's
Yep.
good. Yeah.
And you shared that.
Yes.
Right? So if I
That
had
was
asked
great.
you about your family, I'm not sure I would have gotten all that from you either.
No.
Right?
Mm-mm. No.
Especially
I got
your
6
special needs
kids.
dogs. You wouldn't have
So-
included that in your.
Oh no, I know. Blind, 3 legs. And yeah, if they're special, we want them. So
So you can
Oh, I love
see
that.
how play allows us to express ourselves, to heal,
Yep.
and to connect,
I love that.
right?
Yep.
Magical.
I can't
Sand
wait to do
trays
this with
are
my
magical.
grandsons.
Well, why don't we transition to when we're looking at play, there's hypo and there's hyper.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? Hypo play is calming. When I'm working with a lot of kids, I'll say, feel your heart. Is it fast or is it slow? If it's slow, it's probably hypo. If it's fast, it's probably hyper. Or when I'm working in classrooms with teachers and doing some consulting, I'm looking at, well, tell me when you feel a lot of energy and tell me when it feels like a calmer space and what is the goal? Like, are you attaching hyperplay, getting high energy, and feeling good about that high energy? Or are you doing hyperplay and then you're going to the library and then kids are just like full of excitement
Right.
and it's not like the right fit for the space,
We
right?
talked about a library once. So
Yeah, let's make sure like what we're creating for ourselves and the people we're working alongside follows their body and brain, right?
Yep.
I think that is. Can we just stop on that for just a second?
Yeah.
And I think of all the times I tried to hustle my kids out the door when they are in full out active play. And then all of a sudden it's like I need shoes and I need a coat and I
Right.
need your bag and we need to immediately.
Yeah.
They don't work that
No,
way.
the science of that, it's impossible.
It is.
Right.
It
Right?
is.
They really need a chance to get into a hypo space. And the thing about the brain is it doesn't necessarily take a long period of time.
Right.
It just takes the right strategies and support.
Right.
And if we can acknowledge, like, oh my gosh, you guys were so excited. You were like playing basketball. Your heart rate was going so fast. And then I was like, let's go, let's go, let's go. All of a sudden, we need our brain
Yeah.
to be able to like walk through that change. And so that happens in schools and in community-based settings all the time. It happens in hospitals and healing spaces a lot. Is we really expect people to ride a roller coaster of schedules and expectations and timelines that doesn't match the brain, and in fact doesn't match what we're giving them. Right? So often, so if I look at parenting in a parenting setting, I am not going to create a hyper-based play activity with my family just before bedtime.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Right.
No, so that whole let's just tire them out by wrestling and getting them all
Right.
riled
I
up.
mean, if that heart rate is moving fast, we need to invite a high
And then go to bed.
flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's
that is
not.
why massage before bed, reading books before bed,
Yes.
cuddling. We do a lot of pillow talk before bed. we're reducing our heart rate. We're doing hypoplay.
This is good,
Yeah.
useful, very doable things.
Oh my gosh,
Just
so doable.
allow
So
those
doable.
transitions between those phases and that. Yeah, great.
Do you want to do some more hypoplay?
You tell us what
Let's
we
do
want to do.
bubbles. So
I
this
wanna
is what
do
I love
bubbles.
about bubbles.
Yes.
Go ahead and grab
'Kay.
some tips about working with bubbles. Bubbles come in all shapes and sizes. Yes. You can make them. You can do giant ones. You can do little ones. If used in a therapeutic setting, I want you to remember that whatever you give somebody, they may throw at you, they may drop, they may lose, they may toss. So
Don't throw that at me,
when
Heidi.
clinicians choose to use giant bubbles,
Yes.
it's more affordable, it's more economical, it's super fun, but that is a greater risk of a greater mess,
Oh, yeah.
right? So if I am not in a place where I am able to hold some bubbles without pouring them out or pouring them on you, that is okay. I am just going to blow the bubbles at you. And during COVID, the coolest research happened around bubbles. So I'm going to blow these up so you can watch them fall down.
Okay.
Okay.
And just take them in.
You know,
Are
we're
you
all
ready?
like so excited.
This is me breathing.
Can you hear them popping?
I can hear, and I love the iridescent colors.
Yep.
Just everything about them. What is it about bubbles that are just these magical things?
Well, I was about to tell you the science of bubbles.
Thank
Did you
you.
hear to say that?
Not
That's
at all.
amazing.
It's in
so
the
listen
script.
to this.
You didn't
Are
know
you
we
ready
had
for
a
this? So during COVID, there was this research that came out around like what creates the greatest joy around the world for humans.
Yes.
And so bubbles hit the top of the list, like maybe even number one.
That's
And
amazing.
so a bunch of scientists were like, what's the deal with bubbles? Like, why do we love them so much? Okay, so up they go again. 2 things about bubbles that create joy in our brain that stimulate happiness. They're circle, and things that are circular create more joy scientifically in our brain, and they're iridescent. That like see-through but colors.
yep.
When you add those 2 components, they make them scientifically one of the most joyful things that the human brain can experience.
It's
I love
remarkable.
that.
So there is a science of why bubbles make people so happy. Now, the funnest
I'm
work
gonna live in a bubble
that
house. now.
I do with families is teaching them that bubbles can be for inside. Because most people believe bubbles are an outside toy.
Right.
And
Not at
I
our
am
house.
here to tell you, not only are they for inside, they are one of the healthiest tools you can use in your home. We have these miniature bubbles in every room in our house. I keep them in my purse. I keep them in my
This is
car.
fantastic.
And when anyone is struggling, we bubble it. Now, let me tell you, don't blow bubbles in someone's face who's having a rough time, right? That's just annoying. But
Aaron is like, oh
invite
man,
them to
things are
engage.
gonna get weird at home now. So
we're going to blow bubbles
Yes.
together.
Yes.
To practice some of that basic breathing. And then I'm going to move you up your brain into some bubble
All
play
right.
strategies. So
I've
blow
been
your
waiting.
bubbles. You are breathing. This is good for you. This is therapy.
I can do this.
You are feeding your brain. And
I
you
am
are
gonna-
scientifically going to become more joyful.
Can you see the bubbles on the camera? Good. So we use bubbles like with our photo sessions a lot to get kids to smile
You're
because it
activating their
happens
brain.
every time.
And you don't.
I always think
have
about-
to make people like bubbles.
No, you hand a bunch of
No.
people at weddings bubbles, and all the adults are outside, like blowing them all before people have even walked down their little, instead of throwing rice, they're all outside.
Because it's exciting.
Because adults are out there
So
going,
we're going to move on to the next phase of your
Okay.
bubble work.
okay,
Oh yes.
I'd like to try some brainstem or some midbrain work, which is really giant clapping. And so I want consider your surroundings.
Yep.
We'll see how this goes.
'Kay.
Can we do it sitting? But basically, I'm going to blow some bubbles at you, and you are going to midbrain, big claps.
Yep.
And
I
what
got
you're
you.
going to see is 1, how good it feels, but 2, how exhausting it is.
Okay.
And I want you to consider, if I am having an emotional
may
burst on
not
the ground.
Be able to participate
she might not.
'cause
She just
I'm
had
not gonna
surgery.
I just had.
Well, you can do
I'll do it.
the midbrain,
Yes.
and then we'll move you into the pinky bell.
or I'll blow the
oh,
bubbles.
you get to do all the excitement.
Oh, blow bubbles.
I'll
I
blow
love
the
that.
bubbles.
Blow
and
it.
you can, is
Here we
that
go.
good?
Yeah,
that's
All
great.
right. Are we
We're
ready?
trying not to hit each other with
Okay,
our
Sarah?
arms. Do I have to be bigger
You're
than
so
that?
good.
I'm trying.
Now, do you think you would have the ability to regulate your body if you were focused on giant claps of bubbles?
to regulate my body?
Yeah.
Doing
Do you
something
feel
other than
like,
this?
yeah, like imagine like you're so frustrated, you're so angry. Imagine like you just want to punch a bunch of walls. The giant act of punching is very similar to the giant act of clapping.
Oh,
wow.
it's an outlet.
So
for
the
those
kids I work
feelings.
with that are struggling with big feelings, or they just like can't regulate their body, we, after we blow some bubbles, do some giant bubble claps. Because if you could just pop one bubble with that giant clap,
Yep.
you have just regulated your body a little bit more. Because
Oh,
regulation
yes.
isn't about being
Simple.
calm.
Right.
Regulation is about handling the situation age appropriately. Right? And so we teach people that body regulation and emotional regulation is about like being calm and zen, and it's not. Take that in again. It's about handling the situation age appropriately. So a child being regulated when they see Minnie Mouse at Disney may look different than the parent who's been there 12 times
Right.
when they see Disney.
I'm picturing
when
the
they see
parent
Minnie
with the
Mouse.
bubbles, like, okay, Minnie's
You know,
coming,
like,
so start.
right? And so it's really important as we're doing bubble work, we're considering like what is age appropriate for you and your body.
Yes.
And if it's too hard to do this, well then let me blow you some bubbles and you watch them until we can get to there.
Right.
So then once we have engaged that big body movement and we are like really, we're doing okay. We're not knocking things over. We've popped a few bubbles. We like it. Then we're going to do some pinky popping.
Oh,
Now this requires you being more in control of your body,
got
right?
this.
So we're going to have a little competition.
I'm ready.
Let's see
Okay.
who can pop more bubbles with
Just with your.
both of their pinkies.
Oh.
And in the world of bilateral work, this is OT stuff.
I see your
We do a lot of like
competitive
scribbling with one hand, scribbling with two hands, and then crossing. But crossing is extra credit for your brain every time. Anytime you
yes.
cross your hemispheres, you're doing
Yep.
great work. So
Oh man,
double
you're gonna make
points
us cross.
if you pinky pop cross.
Okay, I'm
I'm
going
gonna
bonus.
blow them up
Yep.
for them to fall down. Crossing hemispheres is extra credit. Popping bubbles with your pinky. Here we
My tongue came out immediately. For
Working hard.
concentration. Are we supposed to be counting? Because I wasn't. I think I'm winning though.
How was that for you?
That was so fun.
I'm like, she's not gonna win.
my tongue went right out as soon as I started. I was like, that's like serious. That's serious concentration. When my tongue comes out, I'm in it.
Are you ready for the
paying
last
attention.
stages
I
of
am
bubble
so
play? You
ready.
guys are really good at this.
Thank you.
All right, grab your bubbles.
Okay.
Your job, the ultimate capacity to regulate. So sometimes, often, when I'm working with kids who are really learning to like regulate their bodies, be in control of their bodies, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get to what we're about to do.
Okay.